independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I really believe you can go to parks, you can go to beaches, you keep it the spread, you stay away a certain amount. I really think the public has been incredible with that's one of the reasons we're successful. That's one of the, if you call losing 80 or 90,000 people successful, but it's one of the reasons that we're not at that high end of the plane as opposed to the low end of the plane.
That number has changed, Mr. President. You said
it's going up.
60,
now it's going up.
70,
I used to say 65,000, and now I'm saying 80 or 90, and it goes up, and it goes up rapidly.
Yeah, it's going to be 100. Now, by the end of this, who knows how many? It could be 150. Over what? Over a year? Over 2 years? Remember the Spanish flu, which everybody goes, look how many people. We still don't know how many people it killed. It's very wide-ranging. It's 17 million to 50 million. Could be as low as 12 million. But that was over 3 years, and that was globally. I don't know how big it's going to get. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't. That's the biggest question that everybody has. How long is this going to go on for? Nobody knows. Is it going to get to the point where within the next 6 months to a year we'll have a vaccine? Trump thinks so.
We are very confident that we're going to have a vaccine at the end of the year. By the end of the year, have a vaccine.
By the end of this year?
We think we're going to have a vaccine by the end of this year, and we're pushing very hard. You know, we're building supply lines now. We don't even have the final vaccine.
We don't. We may never have a vaccine. Woke up, actually, producer Anthony and I were talking about this morning, so get up bright and early. Like to ruin each other's morning with a laugh. He says, I wake up Saturday, Chad. He goes, I read 3 articles, and I go right back to bed. What if we never get a vaccine? I've been saying that for the last 2 weeks. There is a chance, based on the complexity of this, that we may never have a vaccine. And the vaccine we have may be very similar to the flu vaccine, which is you get the flu vaccine. You get the flu shot. Doesn't mean you're not going to get the flu. There are different strains of the flu, as we all know. So what does that mean? In a world that we live in right now, this is unsustainable. We cannot live this way. Now, saying that, there are 102 companies and countries, as well as universities, all mixed together, doing everything they can to come up with something in light speed, record speed. But I'll say this. 1984, they said, within 2 years, we'll have a vaccine for HIV. Flash forward how many years? Still no vaccine for HIV. Doesn't mean that we will be living like this forever, because that's unsustainable. But with 102 companies, you would think at this point in time, they can't all be wrong.
Operation Warp Speed, clinical trials will begin on 14 potential vaccines, fast-tracking a process that may produce a patient-ready vaccine as early as January. No guarantees. The president eager for breakthroughs.
They're going to open safely and quickly, I hope, because we have to get our country back.
President Trump announced Friday an emergency use authorization from the FDA to treat hospitalized patients with an experimental drug called remdesivir.
It's really a very promising situation.
Yeah, promising. Doesn't mean that it's changing everything. Remdesivir is being given to people that are in the hospital. It's showing that they're recovering quicker, and then they're moving out from ICU or the hospital. That's great. Now, I don't know what it would do to somebody who's got it, and because 95% of people or plus who get this won't see the hospital. Doesn't mean they're not sick. Doesn't mean that they shouldn't get some sort of treatment. Maybe it helps them get over it much faster. So if you have it, and you have the situation where you're fighting it, and it's like the flu sense, where you're at home, your body aches, you have night fevers, that if you take this, instead of you being sick for 7 to 10 days, maybe you're sick for 3 days. That's a possibility. Right now it's being given to people who are in really tough battling situations. But we're looking for that thing. I've always thought they'd come up with a few treatments much different than a vaccine. Treatments, treat it. Vaccine, stops you from potentially getting it. It's an ugly situation. We're not getting out of this anytime soon, but we will get out of this. Now, it's what can we do to fight this thing? Stop the spread. Because that way we can just, it's out there. Here's the thing. At this moment in time, it's everywhere, right? It's everywhere, kids. It's everywhere. You couldn't tell me today where you got it. Well, I went to Walmart a week ago. And then I went to, then I was out and I got gas. And then I did this, I did that. I picked this up, but I was home. Unless you stay home and you've been home for 2 weeks and then you go outside and you go to one place, you probably couldn't even, and you couldn't say when you got it. Could have been anywhere. So it is everywhere. How do we fight it? It's a much different thing, but that number is swelling. The projections that a lot of people talked about, 100 to 240,000 deaths.
Our projections have always been between 100 and 240,000 American lives lost, and that's with full mitigation and us learning from each other of how to social distance. We also made it possible for states to open counties independently of the entire state because, again, some of these outbreaks are very local and have to be studied and understood that way.
Yeah. Still look at New York, much different than places that are elsewhere in the country where people semi-social distance anyway based on how they live their lives. They're not on top of each other. They don't take elevators all day. They don't take public transportation. So some places are going to be far worse than other places. Some counties will open up sooner. The weather, does it or doesn't it play a part into this, meaning extra hot weather? Right now, in the last several days here in Phoenix, we've had 100-plus degrees. Took a walk last night, my wee one and I, and we were well into probably 100, 101, and it was 7:15. Crazy. It's crazy. How do we get where we need to get to? That's the thing that people are asking. On a day-to-day basis, how do we get to where we need to get to? We can hope and pray. That ain't going to do it, right? We could just sit inside and hide. It isn't going to do it. At some point in time, are we going to have to face the fact that we're going to have to take this thing on a different path? Because I'm reading a bunch of articles this weekend, a bunch of studies talking about all kinds of different things. But a lot of it is, what if we don't find a vaccine? Because you hear people out there saying, well, I'm not going to really feel comfortable going out until we find a vaccine. Oh, what if we never find it? Oh, we'll find one. No, what if we don't? There are plenty of things out there we don't find vaccines for. Are you just going to stay indoors? Is this going to be the way that you live your life forever? How can you afford to do that? How can you afford to do that? For many people, it's impossible. It's not the new world. It's not the new norm. It's a moment in time while we figure this thing out. Once we have more knowledge of it, even if it's some of the stuff that we don't want to hear, we'll take it and we'll figure out a way to adapt. The beauty of who we are as human beings is we adapt. We adapt. Nature gives us something, throws it at us. It's a curveball. We first step back. We're hesitant. It costs lives. But eventually, we understand what's going on, and we adapt to it. And we will do that. Won't be today, but it will be in the few tomorrows from now that we will figure out a way to, worst case scenario, live with it and live around it. Best case scenario, figure out a way to defeat it through technology and medicine. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. By the way, it is that day.
What are you doing there, 3PO?
Taking one last look, sir, at my friends.
May the 4th be with you. I watched that one the other day. I watched Star Wars, and I thought to myself, When I was a kid, I was stoked with Star Wars. Empire Strikes Back, Jedi. I liked it all. The other three sucked. Right? Because you hadn't had any for a while, right? So it was, oh my God. And then I watched the last three. And the first one was okay. The second one, The third one I thought, God, this is just cheese. Stupid lines. Is the Empire that bad, really? I'm just saying. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. All right, MyPillow. Man, MyPillow. I'll tell you what. I took a couple naps this weekend. Can I just say, awesome. Awesome. That's where I catch up with my sleep, and you really can't catch up with your sleep, but I loved it. So MyPillow is doing something amazing. They've switched over their production of their MyPillow products to PPEs, right? So they're making masks and whatnot for all the first responders, the healthcare workers out there. And so what they're doing is they're saying, hey, we've got all of this stuff over here. We're going to get rid of it all. And we're going to do it fast so we can stock up in our areas for people. And they're giving you a buy one, get one free on everything. So this would be MyPillow, the Giza towels and Dream Sheets, the MyPillow towels, you name it. You buy one, you get one free. Everything's made in the USA, 60-day money-back guarantee and 10-year warranty. So go to MyPillow.com. There's a radio listener special page at MyPillow.com. When you go there, use the promo code Benson when you check out. If you order Mike Lindell's book, which if you want to talk about somebody who went to hell and back, it's just an amazing read. Interesting guy, interesting life to say the least. You go there, you order that. He's going to ship everything for free and give you a $25 gift card towards your next purchase. Buy one, get one free on everything. 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
Amid these simmering tensions, governors struggling to determine the best path forward. Mississippi halted plans to reopen after seeing a single-day record of nearly 400 new cases on Friday. The governor saying that spike was due to receiving a lot of test results all at one time. And governors also taking different approaches on facial masks. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo emphasizing their importance, saying masks are non-negotiable.
And some states, well, they have got pushback when it comes to masks. Masks may be non-negotiable in New York, but other places, people are saying, you know what? Sorry, we're just not going to do it.
Our business group came back and said, every employee should wear a face mask. So we're continuing that. Every employee is going to have the face mask. But it became very clear to me after we put out the order that everyone in retail who walked into a store as a customer would have to do that. It became clear to me that that was just a bridge too far, that people were not going to accept the government telling them what to do.
That's Governor DeWine right there of Ohio. Some people will, some people won't. Some people think that we're going to have to wear face masks for years to come. I'm like, no, it's just people at some point in time are going to say we've had enough of this.
We put out dozens and dozens of orders. That was one that just went too far. But at the same time we pulled that back, I said, look, this is highly recommended. This is for most people, it's unless you've got a physical reason you can't wear the mask, and we understand that. But when you go into a retail store, that is the kind thing to do, because I worry, and we should all worry, about the folks who are stocking shelves in grocery stores, the people who are at the checkout line who work there all day, and we got to try to protect them.
And here's part of the whole thing, though, as Governor DeWine talks about there for Ohio. It's about other people. It's having personal responsibility is a huge, huge thing. Being personally responsible, saying, look, I am personally responsible for me and my actions. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that people around me that I come in contact with, no matter how small it is at this point in time, that I do everything I can to make sure that I give them the space that they need, and hopefully vice versa. Doesn't always work out that way. And when it comes to the spike in testing, this is one of the things that is, is interesting because how many people are you testing? Some days you may test 500. Some days you may test 5,000. I don't know. Like, how do you draw an apples to apples comparison if there's a spike? Because you may get back 2,000 tests today, and the next day you may get back 500. How do you know what's fair and what's not fair? It's not just us that are dealing with issues as well, trying to figure out how to get people back out there living their lives. Italy's been under, well, they've been under it for a long, long time.
A really important day for Italy as it eases some of its biggest restrictions. This is the first time in 2 months, actually, that we've been allowed back. But with 200,000 cases and nearly 30,000 dead, this country is still being very cautious. Millions are returning to work in certain industries, and an important moment for families. Visits to close relatives are now permitted for the first time in almost 2 months.
Which is crazy. But the fear is?
But the danger of a second peak is why Italy is still being extremely cautious. Documentation is still required for those leaving the house, and masks and gloves are needed for anyone on public transport. This is a major test. If this goes well, shops will be able to reopen in 2 weeks and possibly restaurants and cafes by the end of the month, which is when I guess it'll start to feel a little more like Italy.
Yeah. But that danger of the second wave, which is very real. And we'll get a first real snapshot of Western modern society with Italy and their reaction. If there is a spike, do they turn around and everybody run back in? Because that's an important thing. It's not the first wave. As small businesses, they're looking at the second wave of this and saying, can I withstand a second wave? And majority of them say whether they can or can't, they won't. Because they realize you can't live your life like this. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This virus is not going anywhere, so it's a matter of learning how to live with it until a point at which a vaccine is available or certainly better treatments are available. So that's the foundation on which all of this reopening has to be predicated.
Dr. Jen Ashton, what do you mean? We got to live with it. I thought we had to hide from it. What about... aren't we? Look, nobody knows exactly what to expect. What I know is we can't do this. We can't do this forever. And I don't know how much longer we can do it. People are pushing back. People are upset. People are getting frustrated. Understandable. Look at unemployment. Look at the new numbers this week. We're over 30 million in about 6 weeks. Every top economist, investor, hedge fund person, every Wall Street muckety-muck all says the same thing. We're headed for a Great Depression-like situation with no end in sight. So what do? How do we live? We can stay inside when things get ugly, or we can learn to live with it.
I worry that the past 2 months of quarantine have given people the idea that the way for humans to win our 1,000,000-year war with microbes is to avoid them completely. And I'm here to tell you, you can't. The key to beating COVID isn't dining through glass or never going to a concert or a ball game again. It's your immune system. You hear people say COVID-19 is a new virus, so the immune system doesn't know how to handle it. Bullshit. Of course it does. That's why the vast majority of people who've had it either recovered or didn't even know they had it.
There's something to that, something I've been saying. Sweden's taken this on, and the reality is while the numbers don't look amazing compared to their European counterparts, the reality is they're heading closer and closer towards what they hope will be herd immunity. Learning to live, they've said all along, we're going to have to learn to live with it. They didn't close down the businesses or the elementary school. There was no stay at home, and there wasn't a disaster either. Even though their numbers are bigger, their whole time they have said over and over again, at the end of this all, we'll look around and we bet everybody else's numbers look similar to ours. The difference was we won't have thrown ourselves into economic and financial ruin to get there. You'll have wave after wave after wave, and we'll have this first wave. They've learned from it as well. Other countries are starting to look around and say, well, maybe we should be doing this. Hiding is not the problem. It's not. Well, Chad, it's not really hiding. It's doing what's best. I get that. The problem is we have 50 billion people telling us something that we should and shouldn't do. We get our hopes up. We get our hopes down. We have people that are all pulling in different directions. We don't know what we should or shouldn't do. You take one study that's a real study, and then you take another study that's also a real study, and you put them together and they go against each other. You should wear a mask. You shouldn't wear a mask. You should wear gloves. You shouldn't wear gloves. Outside is the real world. We got to deal with it. And at some point in time, probably in a much closer future, because I have so many friends that believe we should shelter in place as long as we need to. But once we return to society, whenever that is, there shouldn't be a going back.
There are people with immune systems that can't do the job, and we should make it a priority to protect those people. But compulsively washing, being scared of your own hands, that can't become the new normal. I see there's a hot new item for sale online, disinfecting shoe mats, because COVID can get on your feet. Yes, it can get everywhere. Microbes are ubiquitous. You can keep discovering new places to scare people into buying protection for, but we're solving the problem from the wrong end.
Yeah. Insane. I understand people out there making a buck, can't get everywhere. And there are people that we need to make sure that we protect. You go and look at these numbers, as awful as they are. Almost 20% are nursing homes. Captive groups. Sounds horrible to say that. Confined in an area, aren't going anywhere, already usually with one or two underlying health conditions, with compromised immune systems. Prisons. Manufacturing. Places where you are close to one another. That's why places like New York have suffered tremendously. Very tight packed spaces where people are shoulder to shoulder in and out of places like elevators and mass transit. But we have to learn to figure out how we live with this. At some point in time, as awful as it sounds, we're going to have to return to some sort of normal where we realize that everything we do in life is we take a chance. I work with exotic animals, mostly reptiles. You know what reptiles do? They're terrified of you. Big, giant, huge lizards and snakes, even things as poisonous as cobras and mambas and inland taipan snakes that could kill you in a second. They're terrified of you. They learn to live with you. But everything they do is based on fear. Everything they do is based on fear. No matter how big something is, they believe you are going to kill it and eat it. You have to build up trust, but you also have to build up some sort of rapport with something. You have to live with it, and it lives with you before they start to have a give and take. It's the same thing with this. We have to go out there, and at some point in time, we're going to have to accept the fact that this thing isn't going anywhere. Not anytime soon. And we hope and pray. And I have tremendous belief that we're going to find not just remdesivir, but a few other therapeutics that will help us mitigate the losses, not just of people health-wise, but also the damages done to society. And at the same time, I believe we will find something that will be close enough to a vaccine similar to a flu shot where we may have to get it. But it's an adapt. We need to adapt. We need to adapt. Because if we don't, we're going to find ourselves in a situation where maybe once every year for 2 months, plus, we may shudder. Can't have that.
We can't sanitize the universe. We've all read the articles. Your sink has 500,000 bacteria per square inch. Your toothbrush has feces on it. E. coli has been found in makeup, carpets, bedding, the remote, cutting boards. The average pillow has 350,000 bacteria colonies. Your phone has 10 times the bacteria of your toilet, which your dog drinks out of and then licks you. And yet you're still alive because your immune system said, we got this.
At the end of the day, the most complex, battle-hardened and tested thing that the average person who doesn't have underlying health conditions or a compromised immune system, whether they're fighting another disease and we're using medicine on them that has weakened it, or something that you have because you've got something, is our bodies. And we must learn to adapt. And if we don't learn to adapt, we're going to have issues. Issues that financially have already been devastating. And I have no idea how much worse it's going to get. Every economist I've talked to have all said the same thing. For every month we're locked down, you can usually tack on a year to get back to where we were. Some places have been locked down 2.5, 3 months. Really? But on lockdown for 2 months, some places it's been 6 weeks. What I do know is as we go through May, we're looking at 3. You're looking at 36 months to get back to where we were. And some industries are absolutely destroyed. We will change the way we look at going to certain things. Baseball games, football games, the movies, even out to eat. Everywhere you go now, most people, because of their psyche, looks down and they think that the thing that they're going to touch could be the thing that kills them. That's not good. It's also not true. It's not. We will adapt. We will learn. We will get better for this because there will be something else. Could be 5 months, could be 5 years, could be 50 years that comes out of nowhere that we have to pay close attention to. That will happen because it's nature, right? Nature. Nature is deadly. Nature is evil. Producer Phil, remind everybody again what will happen with nature.
Nature will mess you up.
Mess you up in a major way. It's nature. Nature's just doing what nature does. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. People wanted to get out over the weekend. People did. People are starting to feel, well, they're starting to be pissed off. They want to get out there and live their lives. Of course, Michigan. They've had the most protests because Gretchen Whitmer, their governor, has come down harder on that state as far as what they can and can't do than any other state.
Some of the outrageousness of what happened at our Capitol this week depicted some of the worst racism and awful parts of our history in this country. You know, the Confederate flags and nooses, the swastikas, the, behavior that you've seen in all of the clips is not representative of who we are in Michigan. We're in a global pandemic. This isn't something we just negotiate ourselves out of, and it's a political matter. This is a public health crisis that has taken the lives of almost 70,000 Americans.
Yeah, that has. It absolutely has. It's taken too many lives, as has the flu and many other things that take lives. It's awful. It's horrible. We need to listen to the experts. But we also need to live our lives. And it's not just so much about staying in. I mean, you're asking people to do things that are insane at times, where you can't travel outdoors, or taking a run is prohibited. It's just, at some point in time, people have a breaking point. I've said that. And that breaking point will come sooner rather than later. I want to see these states, as we get through this, the warmer weather starts to arrive across the country. Here, I'm Phoenix. We've already well over 100 degrees. But as it starts to get into that third month, that 90 days, that cabin fever is growing tremendously. And once you start to allow people to get back out there and you relax some of these, what does that look like when you try to put the genie back in the bottle with the second wave? Because there will be a second wave. I don't even know if it's a second wave. It's just a spike. How do you tell people, nope, sorry, it was too early, we got to go back in? I don't know if you can. And I think the second time you try to do it it's going to get uglier than this. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. It is called Car Shield. What does it do? It, being Car Shield, protects you when it comes to covered repairs. They have affordable protection plans that can save you thousands, including modern cars with GPS, electronics, and so much more, as well as cars a little bit older, right? Like 10 years old. I got a car that's about 10 years old. And I got a newer car as well. One has electronics and all the gadgets and wibbity waps, and the other one doesn't. I worry about different things on each one of these vehicles. That's why I have Car Shield. With Car Shield, I get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while my car's in the shop. And the shop is the shop that I choose. They get them paid directly. And that is great. I just pay a small deductible and away I go. All you have to do is call 800-CAR-6000. Explain to them exactly what you're looking for. Use this code Benson. That'll save you 10%. But when you call them, say, look, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Their plans start as low as $99 a month. 800-CAR-6000. Use code Benson, save 10%. Or carshield.com, carshield.com. Code Benson saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
I, you, he, she, it. Lucy is a girl.
Point of personal privilege. Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Shut up, boo. Ain't nobody got time for this.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
You want to survive, you do exactly as I say.
Netflix has a hit on its hands with the new Chris Hemsworth action movie Extraction, or so it claims. The streamer's famously cagey with its viewing numbers, but tweeted a, quote, projected 90 million households are getting in on the action in the first 4 weeks. It only debuted a week ago, so read into that what you will, but if true, it'd make Extraction Netflix's biggest ever film premiere, with 10 million more people watching than Netflix says watched Bird Box last year.
I watched Extraction. Awesome. Lot of fun. And it had it's very interesting. They did a lot of one shoots in there. And if you don't know what a one shoot it is so like the movie this year that was so big, or last year, 1917. That is where they will film the shot they'll do the same shot 5, 10, 15, 20 times, 20, 30, 40 days in a row. Then they'll put together the best of it. So it's one continuous shot. And they did this on a few of them, and you could tell, and it was awesome. Super fun, lots of violence, an interesting story, and a part of the world where we don't, we think of certain situations, like when we talk about drug cartels and things of that nature, we're usually talking about Mexico, South America, things like that. This was set in Bangladesh and in India. It was just a very interesting movie. Cool cinematography, lots of action. I enjoyed it. And the battle's going on in the movie world right now with what the hell's going to happen to the movie world. And look, I love movies. But I've also liked the fact that I can see some first-run movies at home, and you've got a huge issue going on with AMC, the theaters, and Universal about whether or not they're going to show all of their movies in the theaters, or maybe try to do both.
And so, yeah, things are evolving to some extent, but no, there's nothing like being in a theater with a group of people and taking that ride together, having that experience as a whole.
And I believe that 100%. I love watching some stuff at home. It's fun. It's great, like Extraction. But for me, Thursday nights, when I stay in town on Thursday night, when the theaters are open, especially this movie I want to see, I will make sure I'm there with my popcorn and my hot dog, and I watch the movie, and I enjoy it. I love it. I love doing that. I wouldn't not go see movies. And let's be real. They should be surge pricing. Some movies are worth $15 going the first run, or $20. Some movies are worth $5. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Hope you're doing well on this beautiful, gorgeous, wherever you are, Monday. Feel like we're kind of in a Groundhog Day scenario. It's the same situation. We're just debating certain numbers and when we think we may get back to normal. Normal will come. I promise you that. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I really believe you can go to parks. You can go to beaches. You keep it the spread. You stay away a certain amount. I really think the public has been incredible with that's one of the reasons we're successful. That's one of the, if you call losing 80 or 90,000 people successful, but it's one of the reasons that we're not at that high end of the plane as opposed to the low end of the plane.
That number has changed, Mr. President. You said
it's going up.
60,
now it's going up. I used to say 65,000, and now I'm saying 80 or 90, and it goes up, and it goes up rapidly.
Yeah, and who knows what it's going to get to, and how long is that going to take? If we get to the end of the year and we end up losing like 120,000 people, which is awful, a little bit over depending on the year. Last year, I think we had 80,000 die from the flu. This year, or this season of the flu, probably somewhere around 50 or 60,000. But if we get there, is that a horrible number? Yeah, because we don't lose anybody. Let's be real. But at the end of the day, how long, do we count the number? We don't continuously run a clock for the flu. So if next year we tack this on and it ends up getting to that 200 plus.
Our projections have always been between 100 and 240,000 American lives lost, and that's with full mitigation and us learning from each other of how to social distance. We also made it possible for states to open counties independently of the entire state because, again, some of these outbreaks are very local and have to be studied and understood that way.
So those are your numbers. Could be higher, could be lower. Could get to 80,000, and then suddenly this thing could disappear. And then come October again, it comes back out of nowhere. And oh my God, we're dealing with it again. Oh, I don't know. The vaccine is, who knows where the vaccine is? You watch, I've read a lot of articles that said, it's a good chance we may never get a vaccine. And then you read a lot of articles going, there's a chance, but we probably will. And then you read articles that say there's a good chance we're not going to get a vaccine that's going to work like polio, where you get the shot and you have to worry about it. But you get the shot every year like the flu shot. I don't know. What I do know is it's not going away today. As much as people want that to happen, it's not going away today. And people are starting to push back. People are getting angry. People are stupid. People are looking around saying, Governor Whitmer, You've gone too far. You've pushed people too far. This is it. People are sick of it in Michigan. You saw over the weekend they had a May Day protest in Los Angeles, Huntington Beach area, which is Surf City, USA. And there was thousands upon thousands of people out there because you got Gavin Newsom saying, now we're going to shut down all the beaches. We're going to shut down all the parks. It's absolutely nuts. People are frustrated. There is a breaking point for everyone.
Everyone has the right to protest, and I think the governor overreached in a lot of ways, and that upset a lot of people in the state of Michigan. But when we protest, we have to do it in a way that is appropriate. I totally denounce and condemn Nazi symbols that were used in some of the protests. I think it's a terrible idea to come into the Capitol with weapons, bearing weapons, knowing that it might be perceived as some form of intimidation toward legislators. So I denounce those things, but everyone has the right to protest. We're a state that cares about our rights, cares about our freedom.
That's Justin Amash. He is Amash in his own self-being. Everybody has a right to protest. Well, no, not now you don't. You don't have a right to protest in this situation because the Constitution no longer matters because we have this. No, people have a right to protest. They do. And we should have people who raise some alarms based on the fact that they see the government being overreaching, that the government is stepping out of the boundaries of where they should be, which is protecting our Constitution, upholding those things, and starting to write its own mandate on how things should be done. And that's frustrating people. Frustrates me? Sure, it frustrates you. Now the question is, when is this thing going to go away? The reality is,
this virus is not going anywhere. So it's a matter of learning how to live with it until a point at which a vaccine is available or certainly better treatments are available. So that's the foundation on which all of this reopening has to be predicated.
And that's the thing. It's not going anywhere. So how do we live with it? We do that. We learn to live with it. Everybody, people say, Chad, you like the way Sweden's done their approach, right? Look, but they're failing. They're failing tremendously, right? They're failing tremendously. Look at that. You go look and you think, well, hold on a second. Are they really failing tremendously? They took a much different approach than other countries. Some of the myths. Sweden's policy was not carefully thought out or well considered. No, they thought it out. They looked at everything and they said, well, we're going to have to learn to live with this thing. Everybody else is going in. We're starting to see what's going on around the globe. And as they head on in, we're starting to see the toll that's going to take. They did say they failed at protecting the very, very old and their immigrant community in certain areas, in particular the Somali community. And part of the reason for that was they said a lot of it was lost in translation. Secondly, they're doing worse than everybody else, not per million. Actually, they're doing better than most. Their number's lower than ours. The UK, France, Spain, Italy, and a ton of other EUs. And it's just above Germany. And everybody looks at Germany as they're the country that has done it correctly. Oh, well, that's... Yeah, they're doing okay. It is different. Here's something else, though. Life expectancy in Sweden's 83, here 79 in the U.S. Most of the deaths, or at least more than half, are people in Sweden who are over the age of 86. That's pretty good. They've handled it in a different way. Everybody's got to figure out how the best way it is for them to handle this situation. Then you've got the business side of things, and the business side of things is absolutely ugly, and it's getting uglier and uglier. We're seeing the industries being destroyed. Case in point, tourism.
A record 1.5 billion global tourists stayed overnight at their destination in 2019. But that number is expected to drop 30% this year, according to the United Nations World Tourism Organization. Airlines have grounded nearly 2/3 of their planes, cruise ships remain docked, and an estimated 8 million Americans are laid off or furloughed in the industry. But last week, Hilton and Marriott announcing new cleaning procedures worldwide. Universal Studios says it's working on spacing riders apart. And Wynn Resorts is thinking about sanitizing dice between users.
How do you bring people back to Vegas? I mean, you say, I guess, I was talking to a buddy of mine who goes out to Vegas a lot and and he said, the thought process is instead of a bunch of people at a table, every other seat is empty, that masks are worn, that maybe you have to wear gloves, and every time you go to a new table, you get a new set of gloves. There's a lot of different things that they're trying to do, but is that comfortable? And that's the other side of it. Do you want to go somewhere where you would normally spend 8 or 10 hours gambling and drinking and having fun and have to wear a mask? It's like going out to eat. If I have to wear a mask and I have to pull my mask up every time, or there's going to be plastic partitions everywhere, I'd just rather eat at home. Doesn't sound like a lot of fun to me. I don't know about you, but these are things that we're going to be grappling with as we try to figure out where we're going to be going with this. But these, to me, we got to get back to normal. We do, for the mental side of things first. But I just also think for the financial side of things. I could not imagine going to a restaurant, unless it was a themed restaurant and the theme was the Ebola virus and that everybody was dressed up in hazmat suits, where somebody bringing me something with gloves and a mask would make it appetizing. I don't. Okay, if you want to have utensils that you can throw away, I guess. Good, a juicy steak. And here's a plastic knife, and I can barely get through it. I mean, go with me here. I'm not going to eat, French fries with gloves on. What's that taste? That's the taste of rubber. We'll get there. We will, but I think everybody's going to start to have to ask themselves, how do you fit in this? Well, you're going to fit in it the way you want to fit in it. And if gloves make you feel better, great. Even though they've shown that unless you take your gloves off every single time, or you wash them, it's mask. Okay, masks are important. I have no problem with you wearing a mask, but it'd be tough to go out to eat with everybody in a mask and having to pull it up every time and then take a bite and pull it back down. That seems like a lot of work when I'd rather just do it at my house. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Wounded Paw Project, amazing organization. Been working with them for a while. They rescue dogs. What kind of dogs? All kinds of dogs. Dogs are going to be euthanized. And they train them. So they transform them from shelter dogs to service dogs. It's an amazing thing that they're doing. When it originally started, it was for veterans, but they expanded over the years for first responders and the families of both veterans and first responders, and it is incredible. It really, really is. Their motto is to save a paw, is to save a life. And right now, they're struggling because they've got a lot of people who are requesting, who need, especially with all that's going on with COVID-19, and they're doing all they can. They need your help. Now, you can donate several different ways. The first way is you can go to shop online, right, as you do, and you go to Amazon, and you go to smile.amazon.com, and you set your supporting group to Wounded Paw Project. They also accept cash, or better yet, you can take action today and turn your extra car, truck, RV, even a boat into a vehicle for change. You'll be saving a paw to save a life. They're going to use those proceeds to protect, advocate, and transform shelter dogs into service dogs for veterans, first responders, and their family. Give them a call, 844-678-4PAW, 844-678-4729, or check them out at woundedpawproject.org. Find out how you can help and donate. woundedpawproject.org. You'll be saving a paw to save a life. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's take a look around, see what is trending. May the 4th be with you. Always trending because it is May the 4th. Look at the way they did that. J. Crew. Why? Because they're filing for Chapter 11, it looks like. One of many stores, I think, that will be filing to figure out whether or not they get split apart, everything's sold off, somebody buys the name, or they're just gone forever. Which is always a possibility as well. Billions. It's trending. Last night, season 5 premiere. Watched it. Very cool. Tony Kukoc, basketball player, won, I think, 3 championships. Because, of course, the Michael Jordan, The Last Dance documentary on. He was kind of the featured dude last night. People were trying to figure out exactly who was this cat again? What's his name? Tony who? Oh, yeah, Tony Kukoc. President Barack Obama, trending. Don Lemon, trending. And also, Don Shula, great Miami Dolphins coach, one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, passed away today at age 90. No word on how he died. He was 90. I'm sure if it was coronavirus, we'll hear about it. If it's not, we won't. 347 wins, most in the NFL. Only perfect season in the NFL. He was the coach. 2-time Super Bowl champs, 68 NFL champ, 4-time Coach of the Year. I think he had a successful career. I'm just saying, I feel like he's had a successful career. Throwing it out there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Also trending is Midnight Sun. Stephanie Meyer, who wrote the Twilight books, is touting her new Twilight book after she canceled the series. It's like one of those things is, I'm done with this. I want to stretch myself here. And like 10 years later, it's like, all right, I'll write another one. What? You want to write another one? Yeah. But why? Because Happy Teacher Appreciation Day. So should this go to your moms now and your dads who are at home busting their butt? I think so. Right? That's something that isn't being talked about is the slide, as they're calling it, because it does feel like there's a slide. Like Jack's school is going. Where my little brothers, when they were out here, their school is half-assery.
Parents across the nation growing increasingly anxious with schools closed for months as education experts begin to warn of a possible COVID slide for students heading into summer break.
Kind of a double whammy, starting to forget and losing that kind of academic mindset being out of school, particularly for those young kids where we know learning happens at a really fast rate.
I'm worried about where they will be, if they're going to be at the level they should be at when they get back into school next year. I do think the learning loss is huge.
It is. Oh, there's no doubt. For a lot of reasons, right? Your parents are, some of them are in school. I mean, some of them are at work. Some of them are home. Your school is going at different hours. I mean, when Jack was out here, we had a couple things that we had to do, and he couldn't be there for his class. Why? Because we're living our life. This wasn't part of the program when we started, those many, many months ago, that, oh, by the way, come February time, we're going to have to shut everything down because of COVID-19. So, and his school is very much, they're into school, like into it. Like they had Saturday class that was optional before all of this. And it was one of those things where it's wink, wink, nudge, nudge, optional, but we'd really, want you to be here. Where my brother's school is basically, hey, this is a spoon, don't stab somebody. So there you go. And now parents are having to try to figure this out. On the school, they're trying to figure stuff out on the fly as well. COVID slide, I think it's going to be real. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We don't know if what the president is saying is true. We know that he absolutely believes it. He has said that he has seen intelligence information that supports that belief. We know that the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, was on ABC's This Week on Sunday, and he said that there's overwhelming evidence that supports that belief, but that belief is not yet confirmed.
What belief is that? The belief that it started in the Wuhan lab.
The president's view is that there was some sort of an accident at the lab in Wuhan, and that accident, whatever it was, allowed the contagion to escape the lab, get into the population somehow, and from there the epidemic started and the pandemic spread throughout the world.
Now, that is different than it is man-made, right? We can accept that. For the last few years, they have been trying to show the West that look at how good we're doing with all of these things. They're trying to catch up with the West technology, especially when it comes to science. We look over and we see China as this growing, emerging, the red dragon, right? The red, oh my God, it's the red dragon, and they're growing and all of this stuff is happening. And the economically, look at, they're a force to be reckoned with, the second largest economy in the globe, and they're catching up the United States. But when it comes to a lot of other things, they're miles behind. Not just us, but the West in general. And one of them is in technology and science, and they did have it in a lab, and they probably have it in several labs, like we have a lot of things in labs. And the thought process, not the conspiracy, it was man-made and released to try to destroy everybody else so China could get a hand up on everything. The conspiracy is... That's conspiracy. The thought is, and not just us, but several other intelligence agencies said that this lab in particular in Wuhan was a bunch of Barney Fifes. There was no security whatsoever, that anybody could have wandered in and out and taken something, that there really wasn't any way to procure these things there in a better way based on what the Chinese were doing, because they just kind of ignored it and allowed it to happen, thinking, well, nobody's going to come do it. So maybe, just maybe, somebody didn't so much take it out of there, but got sick, then went out, lived their life being an asymptomatic spreader potentially, and eventually it exploded from there. The defense minister of Britain today says that China has a lot to answer for, especially the way they hid a lot of these things. I do believe that that is right. Now, what will they answer for? That I don't know, because I have a feeling they're going to be as quiet as can be. Their new theory is it started here based on a military woman who was in Wuhan at the time who never had it. But that's their conspiracy theory, is that we started this because our whole goal is to destroy our economy to make them look better. That was our goal. It's like, what a great plan. I'll show you. That's what they're doing. At the end of the day, it's out and about. Do I think China lied and hid a bunch of stuff? Yes. Go back through history. See Chernobyl. See a lot of other things that took place that we didn't know about until much later, or we knew something had happened, but we knew the very, very, very bare minimum of what we could get out of those places. Soviet Union on more than a few occasions, certain times in China and elsewhere, weren't quite sure exactly what, because there was a cover-up. Do I think China covered up their numbers and how bad it really was? Yes, I do. At the end of the day, though, it's here. Now we have to figure out what to do with it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You know, we always talk about nature. Producer Phil, I would like you to remind everybody what will happen with nature.
Nature will mess you up.
Case in point. March and April brought you the COVID-19. May's going to bring you murder hornets.
Murder hornets reported in the U.S. for the first time.
Killer hornets invading the U.S. and Canada. Asian giant hornets, also known as murder hornets, spotted in Washington state. They prey on honeybees that pollinate much of our food.
The bees go, we go. So they pollinate 1 in 3 pieces of food we eat. So we have to protect these little guys.
These hornets grow up to 2 inches long, roughly 5 times the size of a bee. And in Japan, where they originate, they reportedly kill up to 50 people each year.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. But they go after their bees.
They're giant stingers capable of piercing a beekeeper's suit.
The mandibles are pretty large. They're very, very sharp, and that's what they use to decapitate bees. And then they'll mash up the thorax into a meatball, they call it, and fly it back to feed to their larvae.
The hornets can destroy an entire beehive in a matter of hours. Experts desperately trying to track down those dangerous hornets and stop them before they kill off much of the bee population.
Yeah. So they're here. Now, for the humans, if they kill all our bees, it would be bad. But how bad does it hurt? If you guys know anything about, if you got kids, you've probably seen Coyote Peterson. Guy goes out, all kinds of adventures, does all kinds of things. One of the things he does, idiotic or not, he's gained a huge following, is he will get stung by certain things. Now, conventional wisdom is the worst thing to get stung by is, as far as bugs go, insects, is the bullet ant. But he gets stung by everything. The assassin wasp. But he also got stung by, yes, the murder hornet.
Ah! Oh, this thing stuck in my arm. Oh! Ooh.
How bad is it?
Oh, man, wave of dizziness really quick. Ah! Oh! Oh, searing pain! Absolute searing pain! There's where the stinger went in right there. Did you not see how slow the sting was? Oh!
I see blood.
Yeah, yeah. One time he takes his arm and he holds it up, kind of palm-faced, like he kind of twists his elbow, and you could see the rise on this thing was massive, was huge. Conventional wisdom's always been, though, the bullet ant, pound for pound, sting for sting, is the worst thing to get. Coyote has something else to say.
When I compare the stings side by side, I'm completely honest when I say that the Japanese giant hornet is an overall more intimidating and ultimately more painful sting than the bullet ant.
Oh, searing pain! Absolute searing pain!
You all right, man?
Yep!
There's no question about it. Through my personal experience, the Japanese giant hornet ranks as a 4 on the insect sting pain index.
Yep, 4. It's huge, it's ugly. Now, in Japan, they are places, they're everywhere, and their bees survive. It's very interesting how their bees survive. I'm throwing guys a little nature at you, because nature will mess you up, but nature also messes up other nature. They send one of these scouts out to go and scout for bees. Well, much like everything in nature, things will adapt. And their bees have adapted in a much different way. Their bees will see this thing, and then their bees will all rush over to it. And they get on top of it. And rather than sting it to death, this is what's a trip. Rather than sting this thing to death, they do something different. They vibrate. They vibrate, and they shake, and they vibrate, and they shake, and they raise their blood temperature. Now, bees can survive temperature up to 118 degrees. So they raise their temperature to 117. The hornets can only survive at a temperature of about 115 or 16. So they essentially cook this thing alive, killing it, therefore not exposing where they are. It's a trip. Nature will mess you up, but it'll also mess up each other. And that, to me, is very interesting. But yes, they are here, and they're called murder ants, and they rip the heads off of bees, and they grind them up and take them back to their nest, and then eventually they come over and they crush everything. So February and March gave us the exciting world of COVID-19 into April, and at the end of April into May, we now have, yes, kids. Are you ready for it? Murder hornets. 3 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can tweet at us always. It's ugly. It's nasty out there. If you're thinking about taking a trip, how many people want to get on a giant tube flying in the sky, squashed next to people? Right now, the industry itself is taking a beating like nothing they have ever seen before.
There's no downplaying the severity of the crisis that we're going through right now. This is the worst financial crisis in the history of commercial aviation.
The worst financial crisis in the history of aviation. It's Josh Earnest right there. The worst financial crisis. Worse than 9/11. 10 times worse than 9/11. And people are asking, okay, would I fly? What do I have to do? You've all seen the pictures of people that are wearing masks on planes, and then some where planes are completely full and nobody has a mask on whatsoever.
We purchased the same equipment that they use in hospitals to disinfect them. We're changing our boarding procedures to board back to front so that when you're boarding the aircraft, you don't have to walk past a whole bunch of people to get to your seat.
That's interesting. And then, of course, the mask side of thing is going to be interesting. But people are going to want to fly again, I assume. But I think like a lot of other things, it's going to take a while to get back to where people feel comfortable doing those things.
We're doing everything possible to encourage people to come back and fly. We're cleaning airplanes. We're requiring masks of our employees and our customers. We're using very deep cleanings every night. We're using electrostatic misters, which will kill the virus on surfaces for up to 30 days. We're exercising social distancing, and on board the aircraft, we won't be booking airplanes full so that people can spread out. So absolutely, we're doing everything we can to make it as safe as humanly possible.
As humanly possible. CEO Kelly right there of Southwest Airlines, because they want people to come back. It's about $1 million a day that they're losing when it comes to keeping an airplane on the ground. So think about the loss right there on a daily basis. I drive by our airport here in Phoenix, and I see tons of American, United, and then a ton of Southwest Airline, and those things don't move. They haven't moved in forever. I see the FedEx planes, some UPS planes, but I see very little plane movement whatsoever. And normally when I'm leaving at night, I see planes taking off and planes coming in. And in the morning, I see the same kind of thing, like a row after row. Now I rarely see that anymore. Rarely. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Speaking of masks, I'm working with Boomer Naturals. Last week, they sent a bunch of masks to a food shelter here, bank that helps people, not only gives them shelter in certain places, but also helps families and feeds them, St. Mary's, and they love the masks. They're 30-day face masks from Boomer Naturals. So Boomer Naturals is a full-service wellness company that provides products and service to enhance your well-being, increase your quality of life. These masks are 92.2% effective. So you've got the N95s, which are the hospital-grade ones. These are 92.2. And the difference with these, they're made from 3 layers of high-quality, hypoallergenic, 65% cotton, 35% polyester blend. Each layer is treated to be antibacterial and antiviral. And you can use them for 30 days. So you get one mask, 30 days. You wash it, hand wash it with some soap and everything, and just let it air dry, and away it goes. Suitable for all-day wear, designed to fully cover the nose and mouth for comfortable, breathable protection, available in adult and children's sizes. And it is awesome. It really is. Now, here's the great thing about Boomer Natural. You can get these right now. All you do is go to boomernatural.com. You're going to save 20% by using code CHAD20, plus free shipping on all orders over $50. That's code CHAD20 at boomernaturals.com. Take your family's health into your own hands and order your 30-day mask now at boomernaturals.com. Promo code CHAD20. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
So far, everything he's heard is speculation about a baseball season, says Washington Nationals manager Dave Martinez.
I'm very optimistic that we will have baseball. So every day I wake up, I try to focus on where the guys are at right now and what we need to do.
Jeremy Fowler of ABC News partner ESPN
spoke to a league source who said that when the NFL releases its schedule for 2020 later next week,
it'll be as if everything will be the same as usual. NBA officials and owners are discussing possibly pushing back the start of next season to December, says ESPN.
Yeah. Will they even resume at all? That's the quadrillion-dollar question. They've tossed everything around from doing it in Orlando, where they've got kind of a area where they can put the players and isolate them. And they could do it in a different way. The NBA can do it rather quickly. Get them up to speed, get them out playing, play the games quick, maybe change the way that you do the playoffs. That's a possibility. Major League Baseball, probably 100 games. They're talking about breaking them up into just 3 divisions. Everybody's going to be regional, so you don't have to have that much travel. And the NFL's the big one. The NFL would be the one that I think hurts. There's no doubt. If the NFL didn't go, it would hurt the most. The NBA, yeah, it sucks. The NHL is much different than the NBA. They would love to finish the season, but the reality is they have more international players, a lot more European players than the NBA has European players or players from other countries. So that's going to be tough. The European soccer leagues are trying to figure out exactly what's going to happen. The Premier League's the biggest league in the world, probably take away all the sports. It's the, all of our sports, you put them all together. The Premier League's probably the biggest, and they have no idea what to do. The Italian league is supposed to allow players to start training today. Spain's not too far away, but training is going to be weird because you can go in and you can't actually go inside the workout rooms and lift weights and do those kind of things, but you're allowed to be on the pitches, and all these places have their own training facility with like 2-on-2, 5-on-5, regular size fields, and you can train social distancing, several yards away from one another. I don't even know how that looks. But here, we're looking at college football and the NFL. If they don't come back this year, that is the morale side of things is going to be massive. That is going to be a beatdown that I think America is going to struggle with harder than anything else. I think we're looking towards getting out of this thing, and by the end of the summer, football starts to come back, and we start to feel like things are becoming normal again. And if that doesn't happen, or they decide college, we're not going to do it this year, and the NFL pushes back till November, who knows? But there's a certain energy that comes from these things. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. You Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This virus is not going anywhere, so it's a matter of learning how to live with it until a point at which a vaccine is available or certainly better treatments are available. So that's the foundation on which all of this reopening has to be predicated.
Oh, my God. So we got a virus. We have murder hornets. You got locusts in Africa. It's end times. I guess we can. There's no doubt about it. Doesn't get any more end-timey than this. Hell, crazy Alex Jones knows it's end times. He's worried about end times and what may have to happen for him to survive.
I will eat my neighbors. I'm not letting my kids die. I'm just going to be honest. My superpower is being honest. I've extrapolated this out, and I won't have to for a few years since I got food and stuff. But I'm literally looking at my neighbors now and going, I'm ready to hang them up and gut them and skin them and chop them up. And you know what? I'm ready. My daughters aren't starving to death. I'll eat my neighbors.
I'll eat my neighbors. Phil, I don't care. We're friends, but I will eat you. I will eat you if I have to, Phil. I will eat you. I will eat your guts. I will eat your eyes. I will eat you. My kids are not going hungry. You ever ask the kids? Maybe they don't want to eat their neighbors. Maybe they're like, hey, Dad, maybe we could just grow some vegetables, right? Like we go, maybe get some of our own farm animals. Maybe we do that.
I'll eat your ass.
Oh, my God.
Combat model, optimum self-sufficiency, probably the leader. The point is have you thought about that yet? Because I'm somebody that thought I could fix this, and I'm starting to think about having to eat my neighbors. You think I like sizing up my neighbor? How I'm going to haul him up by a chain and chop his ass up? I'll do it. My children aren't going hungry. And that's why I want the globalists to know I will eat your ass first.
Why don't you eat them first? Why don't you eat your neighbor? It's the dumbest thing in the world. I will eat you. I will eat my neighbors. I will eat them up. Was it? Maybe you like your neighbors. Look, I hate to do this. Do you tell your neighbors, hey, don't listen to my show today because I'm talking about eating you? The problem is he's drank his own Kool-Aid and he's nuts. Eat my neighbors. So weird. I will eat my neighbors. Phil, I like you. I like Anthony, but I will eat you guys. I have no problem chopping you up in little pieces. Eating you, cooking you up, serving me a little Chianti, or whatever it was, Chianti. Chianti sounds like a singer. I love Chianti. She's great. This is the dumbest thing. That's the kind of craziness that goes on with this. That's it. Eating your neighbors, chaos and lunacy. It's a virus. It's nasty. It's ugly. In the way that we've gone about fighting it, we thought we've done the best. And the reality is we probably could have done better. We haven't done the best job. We haven't done the worst job. And it's not over. And the numbers are growing.
I really believe you can go to parks. You can go to beaches. You keep it the spread. You stay away a certain amount. I really think the public has been incredible with that's one of the reasons we're successful. That's one of the, if you call losing 80 or 90,000 people successful, but it's one of the reasons that we're not at that high end of the plane as opposed to the low end of the plane.
That number has changed, Mr. President. You said
it's going up.
60,
no, it's going up. I used to say 65,000, and now I'm saying 80 or 90, and it goes up, and it goes up rapidly.
Yeah. Now it's 100,000. Dr. Birx has predicted about 120,000. That's not changed in any way, shape, or form.
Our projections have always been between 100 and 240,000 American lives lost, and that's with full mitigation and us learning from each other of how to social distance. We also made it possible for states to open counties independently of the entire state because, again, some of these outbreaks are very local and have to be studied and understood that way.
Yeah, and that's the biggest question is how do we get back out there? How do we get out there and get around each other again? Because people are asking the question. They want to get out there. Some people are pushing it. They want to get out there today. They want to get out there now. They're angry. They're upset. They're scared. They're watching their livelihoods go away. They're stuck inside the house. They're losing their mind. They're angry, and I get it. There's ways of going about doing it. And some of them are desperate. Very desperate.
New York City investigating violent arrests like this one as officers were enforcing social distancing rules. A park ranger in Texas shoved into the water, explaining social distancing there. Warm weather drying out crowds this weekend in South Carolina. Several newly reopened parks and some beaches reaching capacity before noon.
In New York City, plainclothes police officers approaching a group on the street they said were in violation of social distancing orders. The altercation escalating, one officer taking out his stun gun. 3 people taken into custody on multiple charges, including resisting arrest.
Which is where it gets ugly. And some places are totally different. Where I live. So out here in Phoenix, you have Maricopa County, huge county, and then I live in Pinal County, which is the next county over. It's very different there. Sheriff Lamb, who you see on Live PD, we're a little bit more rural. He has said he is not going to enforce some of the governor's orders that are out there, including closing businesses and things of that nature. Where I live, for the past week or so, there is a basketball court at this church, and I get home about 7-ish. It is usually got anywhere between about 8 and about 15 people playing basketball, getting ready to play basketball. My other on-air partner, Gatos, always says to me, "Oh, man, those guys, somebody should say something to them." I said, well, the police station is maybe 50 to 100 yards away. No more than a football field. And they just look. Well, that's wrong. It's life. People want to get back to life. People want to get back to life. And it doesn't mean that everybody's going to do it. Retail places are going to have a chance to slowly but surely across the country over the next couple weeks start to open up. They're going to start to open up. Whoa, that's what happens. That's what everybody wants to see. It's not the what happens because we know what's going to happen.
Places like Asia that did start to see cases go up as they reopened. They thought most of them were imported from outside their countries. And then here in this country, Utah, Texas, cases going up.
Yeah. But is that because of spikes in people being out there? Well, Utah never really closed down. Texas kind of closed down. But some places it's because they're testing a lot more than they were before. And just because you test a bunch of people and they have COVID, a good majority of them may never know they've had it had they not gone and got tested. But people are getting frustrated. They want to get out there and live their lives. And we've chosen to take this path, which is shelter in place and then emerge from it. But I never hear anybody answer the question. Because it's the question that nobody really wants the answer to. Because I think they know what the answer is going to be, which is what happens if there's a spike? What do we do then? Do we run back in and hide? Is that what we do? Are we going to say, well, the spike has to get to this before we think about going back to sheltering in place? People just want to spend time with their family. People just want to get out there and start to somewhat live again for their own mental well-being, let alone their physical well-being. In Italy, they're going to start easing some of the restrictions for the first time in 2 months. The same thing is going on in the UK and several other places. But the question's not being answered, and in many places it's not being asked. When you open up again, at what point do you say, okay, this is more than just a spike, this is another wave, we need to get back inside? How, once you take that genie and you remove it from the bottle and people start to give back to their life, how do you put them back in there and say, nope, can't do it. Can't do it. Everybody back inside. Because I think that is going to be very, 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 very tough to do. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Lightstream. So you're paying a ton in interest rates on your credit card, but you knew that. Now you're sitting at home and you're doing everything you can to figure out how you pay some of this stuff down. But not only that, how do you save money? That's where Lightstream comes in. Quickly roll your balances from multiple credit cards to one single monthly payment. Get a rate as low as 5.95% APR with autopay and lower than the national average credit card rate, which is over 19% APR. No fees, application, quick and easy, 100% online. You can even get your money as early as the same day you apply. Now, here's a great thing. You apply today, you're going to get a special interest rate discount and save even more. The only to get this discount is to go to lightstream.com/Benson. That's lightstream.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offer subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
Texas is open for business. The Lone Star State will allow restaurants, retailers, movie theaters, and malls to operate at 25% capacity under strict social distancing guidelines. But the state's daily COVID cases have been hovering in the high triple digits for most of the past week. At least one Dallas restaurant owner says he won't be opening Friday.
I'd rather take our time getting back and make sure that that curve is fully flattened or on its decrease before having another outbreak that the government would then decide to shut down once more.
I believe people trying to figure it out, what's right for them. Just because you open it doesn't mean they're going to come. A lot of people are nervous about going out. A lot of people are nervous about opening, even if you give them the green light. Part of that is because the information. How much information do you have? What do you need to do to protect not only yourself, because the flood of lawsuits are already flying in. You go look at the meatpacking companies, the amount of lawsuits and the nursing homes that are going to be paying for this is massive. Is massive. People are trying to get... What's the best thing for me? Everybody's got to make that decision for themselves. Is it going out, living your life? Is it sheltering in place and taking zero risk? Is it somewhere in between? And when you do have a chance to go out, what are the chances you're really going to do it?
In Georgia, many restaurant tables sat empty, even though dining areas reopened Monday. At others, a glimpse of life post-quarantine.
Our servers, our bartenders, they'll be wearing masks. There's hand sanitizer that's able to be used. We have disposable menus.
This Montana mall was also back in business with a small but steady stream of customers.
I think that largely most of the folks are observing the social distancing.
I think so. I think that's going to happen at first. People are going to be more apt to play it safe, whatever that means. I mean, if walking next to your friend is dangerous, it's a bizarre world. But I think across the board, people are going to start to play things a little bit safer at the beginning. I think masks are going to be the toughest thing. I think staying away from people isn't going to be the hardest thing to do. But wearing a mask all the time is. And then you got places like the beaches. Florida beaches fully open. Just ask the Grim Reaper.
I'm at Miramar Beach Access 49 here in Walton County, and today is a pretty big day. The beaches are fully reopened for the first time in more than a month. And while some residents are happy, some are not. And one of those people is Walton County resident and Florida lawyer Daniel Ohlfelder. Today he's going to be protesting the beaches being open, all while dressed as the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, I'm here today to make a point that I think it's premature that we open our beaches. The danger of bringing all the people here to our area and spreading the virus, and I think it's going to prolong the recovery we have, and I think that we should take better measures.
Some people feel that way. Some people want to get out. They're going crazy. I don't know what the best answer is. Everybody's got to answer that for themselves. He was totally... I like how he's protesting by going out to the place where thinks there's a lot of people that shouldn't be. People are weird. There's this guy in San Diego area wearing a Ku Klux Klan hood at the grocery store. Is it because he's really a Klans member? Or does he just want people to stay far away from him? It was a great Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry David wore a MAGA hat because when he wears a MAGA hat, everybody stays away from him. I thought that was kind of funny. Then you got little things like cruises. They ever coming back?
Early outbreaks exploded on cruise ships. Now the cruise lines are laying out plans to get back to cruising. Carnival announcing it is canceling all North American cruises in June and July, but it plans to resume cruises by phasing them back in on August 1st. Carnival says it will begin with 8 ships out of Florida and Texas. Other U.S. markets won't resume until as late as October.
That's crazy. How many people are going to want to take a cruise? Some people are like, yeah. You'll get the initial rush of people that are going to take advantage of stuff and aren't worried about the what-if scenario. It's that second group, though, that keeps your business afloat. $50 to go to Hawaii? Hell yeah. But once those people have exhausted that, then you look around and you go, okay, where's the other everyday traveler Where are they? Are they coming back? Are they not coming back? Is it going to take them much longer than people have anticipated? Disney's got 4 ships that house about 14,000 people when they're full. They've got another several ships being built to the tune of $1 billion apiece. It's a lot of money when you're thinking to yourself, what if? This isn't the norovirus where you're upset stomach. This is something totally different where people don't even want you to come into port. The tourist industry is taking maybe the biggest brunt of all of this right now as an industry. The restaurant industry is struggling, but some of it's working its way around and it's surviving. And some will go away. Naturally, that's just what happens, but some may go away sooner. But the tourist industry, that's going to take a long time for people to feel, I think, comfortable flying and traveling. And I'm not just talking about those people that are early on. Like, I'll fly to Hawaii for $50. About those people who will get on a cruise ship for 14 days or an airplane and go somewhere on a consistent basis. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So the question is, what if we never get a vaccine? What's life look like? Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This virus is not going anywhere, so it's a matter of learning how to live with it until a point at which a vaccine is available or certainly better treatments are available. So that's the foundation on which all of this reopening has to be predicated.
Dr. Jen Ashton, what do you mean? We got to live with it. I thought we had to hide from it. What about, aren't we? Look, nobody knows exactly what to expect. What I know is we can't do this. We can't do this forever. And I don't know how much longer we can do it. People are pushing back. People are upset. People are getting frustrated. Understandable. Look at unemployment. Look at the new numbers this week. We're over 30 million in about 6 weeks. Every top economist, investor, hedge fund person, every Wall Street muckety-muck all says the same thing. We're headed for a Great Depression-like situation with no end in sight. So what do? How do we live? We can stay inside when things get ugly, or we can learn to live with it.
I worry that the past 2 months of quarantine have given people the idea that the way for humans to win our 1,000,000-year war with microbes is to avoid them completely. And I'm here to tell you, you can't. The key to beating COVID isn't dining through glass or never going to a concert or a ball game again. It's your immune system. You hear people say COVID-19 is a new virus, so the immune system doesn't know how to handle it. Bullshit. Of course it does. That's why the vast majority of people who've had it either recovered or didn't even know they had it.
There's something to that, something I've been saying. Sweden's taken this on, and the reality is while the numbers don't look amazing compared to their European counterparts, the reality is they're heading closer and closer towards what they hope will be herd immunity. Learning to live. They've said all along, we're going to have to learn to live with it. They didn't close down the businesses or the elementary school. There was no stay at home, and there wasn't a disaster either. Even though their numbers are bigger, their whole time they have said over and over again, at the end of this all, we'll look around and we bet everybody else's numbers look similar to ours. The difference was we won't have thrown ourselves into economic and financial ruin to get there. You'll have wave after wave after wave, and we'll have this first wave. They've learned from it as well. Other countries are starting to look around and say, well, maybe we should be doing this. Hiding is not the problem. It's not. Well, Chad, it's not really hiding. It's doing what's best. I get that. The problem is we have 50 billion people telling us something that we should and shouldn't do. We get our hopes up. We get our hopes down. We have people that are all pulling in different directions. We don't know what we should or shouldn't do. You take one study that's a real study, and then you take another study that's also a real study, and you put them together and they go against each other. You should wear a mask. You shouldn't wear a mask. You should wear gloves. You shouldn't wear gloves. Outside is the real world. We got to deal with it. And at some point in time, probably in a much closer future, because I have so many friends that believe we should shelter in place as long as we need to. But once we return to society, whenever that is, there shouldn't be a going back.
There are people with immune systems that can't do the job, and we should make it a priority to protect those people. But compulsively washing, being scared of your own hands, that can't become the new normal. I see there's a hot new item for sale online, disinfecting shoe mats, because COVID can get on your feet. Yes, it can get everywhere. Microbes are ubiquitous. You can keep discovering new places to scare people into buying protection for, but we're solving the problem from the wrong end.
Yeah. Insane. I understand people out there making a buck, can't get everywhere. And there are people that we need to make sure that we protect. You go and look at these numbers, as awful as they are. Almost 20% are nursing homes. Captive groups. Sounds horrible to say that. Confined in an area, aren't going anywhere, already usually with one or two underlying health conditions, with compromised immune systems. Prisons. Manufacturing. Places where you are close to one another. That's why places like New York have suffered tremendously. Very tight packed spaces where people are shoulder to shoulder in and out of places like elevators and mass transit. But we have to learn to figure out how we live with this. At some point in time, as awful as it sounds, we're going to have to return to some sort of normal where we realize that everything we do in life is we take a chance. I work with exotic animals, mostly reptiles. You know what reptiles do? They're terrified of you. Big, giant, huge lizards and snakes, even things as poisonous as cobras and mambas and inland taipan snakes that could kill you in a second. They're terrified of you. They learn to live with you. But everything they do is based on fear. Everything they do is based on fear. No matter how big something is, they believe you are going to kill it and eat it. You have to build up trust, but you also have to build up some sort of rapport with something. You have to live with it, and it lives with you before they start to have a give and take. It's the same thing with this. We have to go out there, and at some point in time, we're going to have to accept the fact that this thing isn't going anywhere. Not anytime soon. And we hope and pray. And I have tremendous belief that we're going to find not just remdesivir, but a few other therapeutics that will help us mitigate the losses, not just of people health-wise, but also the damages done to society. And at the same time, I believe we will find something that will be close enough to a vaccine similar to a flu shot where we may have to get it. But it's an adapt. We need to adapt. We need to adapt. Because if we don't, we're going to find ourselves in a situation where maybe once every year for 2 months, plus, we may shudder. Can't have that.
We can't sanitize the universe. We've all read the articles. Your sink has 500,000 bacteria per square inch. Your toothbrush has feces on it. E. coli has been found in makeup, carpets, bedding, the remote, cutting boards. The average pillow has 350,000 bacteria colonies. Your phone has 10 times the bacteria of your toilet, which your dog drinks out of and then licks you. And yet you're still alive because your immune system said, we got this.
At the end of the day, the most complex, battle-hardened and tested thing that the average person who doesn't have underlying health conditions or a compromised immune system, whether they're fighting another disease, and we're using medicine on them that has weakened it, or something that you have because you've got something, is our bodies. And we must learn to adapt. And if we don't learn to adapt, we're going to have issues. Issues that financially have already been devastating. And I have no idea how much worse it's going to get. Every economist I've talked to have all said the same thing. For every month we're locked down, you can usually tack on a year to get back to where we were. Some places have been locked down 2.5, 3 months, really. But on lockdown for 2 months, some places it's been 6 weeks. What I do know is as we go through May, we're looking at 3. You're looking at 36 months to get back to where we were. And some industries are absolutely destroyed. We will change the way we look at going to certain things. Baseball games, football games, the movies, even out to eat. Everywhere you go now, most people, because of their psyche, looks down and they think that the thing that they're going to touch could be the thing that kills them. That's not good. It's also not true. It's not. We will adapt. We will learn. We will get better for this because there will be something else. Could be 5 months, could be 5 years, could be 50 years that comes out of nowhere that we have to pay close attention to. That will happen because it's nature, right? Nature. Nature is deadly. Nature is evil. Producer Phil, remind everybody again what will happen with nature.
Nature will mess you up.
Mess you up in a major way. It's nature. Nature's just doing what nature does. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. People wanted to get out over the weekend. People did. People are starting to feel, well, they're starting to be pissed off. They want to get out there and live their lives. Of course, Michigan. They've had the most protests because Gretchen Whitmer, their governor, has come down harder on that state as far as what they can and can't do than any other state.
Some of the outrageousness of what happened at our Capitol this week depicted some of the worst racism and awful parts of our history in this country. You know, the Confederate flags and nooses, the swastikas, the, behavior that you've seen in all of the clips is not representative of who we are in Michigan. We're in a global pandemic. This isn't something we just negotiate ourselves out of, and it's a political matter. This is a public health crisis that has taken the lives of almost 70,000 Americans.
Yeah, that has. It absolutely has. It's taken too many lives, as has the flu and many other things that take lives. It's awful. It's horrible. We need to listen to the experts. But we also need to live our lives. And it's not just so much about staying in. I mean, you're asking people to do things that are insane at times where you can't travel outdoors or taking a run is prohibited. It's just at some point in time, people have a breaking point. I've said that. And that breaking point will come sooner rather than later. I want to see these states as we get through this, the warmer weather starts to arrive across the country. Here I'm Phoenix. We've already well over 100 degrees. But as it starts to get into that third month, that 90 days, that cabin fever is growing tremendously. And once you start to allow people to get back out there and you relax some of these, what does that look like when you try to put the genie back in the bottle with the second wave? Because there will be a second wave. I don't even know if it's a second wave. It's just a spike. How do you tell people, nope, sorry, it was too early, we got to go back in? I don't know if you can. And I think the second time you try to do it it's going to get uglier than this. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. It is called Car Shield. What does it do? It, being Car Shield, protects you when it comes to cover repairs. They have affordable protection plans that can save you thousands, including modern cars with GPS, electronics, and so much more, as well as cars a little bit older, right? Like 10 years old. I got a car that's about 10 years old. And I got a newer car as well. One has electronics and all the gadgets and wibbity waps, and the other one doesn't. I worry about different things on each one of these vehicles. That's why I have Car Shield. With Car Shield, I get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while my car's in the shop. And the shop is the shop that I choose. They get them paid directly. And that is great. I just pay a small deductible and away I go. All you have to do is call 800-CAR-6000. Explain to them exactly what you're looking for. Use this code Benson. That'll save you 10%. But when you call them, say, look, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Their plans start as low as $99 a month. 800-CAR-6000. Use code Benson, save 10%. Or carshield.com, carshield.com. Code Benson saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Boys, give me a bowl of chili with plenty of peppers.
One Mexican heartburn. Why don't you mugs grow up?
The Chad Benson Show, where independent, a la carte thinkers have a seat at the table and a voice in the dialogue.
I'll have what she's having.
This is Chad Benson.
The Miami Dolphins called Don Shula a patriarch of the franchise who put the team in the city of Miami in the national sports scene. Shula won more games than any other NFL coach. He spent 26 of 33 coaching seasons with Miami, where he died peacefully at home, the team said, at age 90. The cause of death was not immediately known, but the Miami Herald reported it was not coronavirus.
Yeah, guy was, not too many coaches can span different generations because the newer generation does their own thing, and keeping up with certain generations, as we've seen in a lot of sports, it's tough to do. And when he first got into it, it was, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and things changed.
Going from Johnny U to Dan Marino is a big jump in how the league changed and evolved during that time. So I think Don Shula deserves a lot of credit for not only being a great coach, but one of the pillars of the NFL, and one of those guys where you really span out and look over his coaching tree, you'll really understand the influence he's had on what the NFL is today, and let alone that, the game of football. So
yeah. Kept up with it, and that is amazing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Again, the only NFL team to their perfect record. So think about that for a second. It's not all doom and gloom when it comes to sports, or at least athletic things. Case in point, the Mountain. Yeah, that guy from Game of Thrones did something.
Most of us know Hafthor Bjornsson for his role as the Mountain on Game of Thrones, but another reminder, he's not the one to mess with. The 6'9", 425-pound athlete breaking the world deadlift record in Iceland, lifting a whopping 1,104 pounds. The 31-year-old won the world's strongest man competition in 2018. He's finished third or better every year since 2012.
So he lifted like 5+ of me. That's insane. That is insane. Huge. And have you seen his wife? She's itty-bitty. Tiny, whiny. I think everybody's itty-bitty next to him. He's just a beast. Picked up like a Volkswagen. It's like, what do you think of these apples? I think you're a freak. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Raycon's best earbuds around. Absolutely amazing. You're at home. Kids are running around. They're trying to do their thing. You're trying to do yours. You got those old earbuds or those headphones, and it just, they're wonky. They don't work well. Their newest model, the Everyday E25s, are the best. 6 hours of playtime, which is awesome. Seamless Bluetooth pairing, better bass, better design. The comfort fit is incredible. And the nice noise isolating fit allows you to, yes, take phone calls, be on conference calls and video conference calls. And even when you need some peace and quiet and you just want to binge your favorite podcast or relax, guess what? You can do it with these. Oh, it's so easy. Comfortable, stylish, amazing, sound quality, second to none. Start well under $100. Plus, right now, when you act, you go to buyraycon.com/Chad. You're going to save 15%. That's buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Monday! May the 4th be with you. Tomorrow, Cinco de Mayo. We'll talk about that. Little Taco Tuesday. Oh, kids, you have yourself a wonderful rest of your Monday. We'll do it again tomorrow. As always, night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.